NFTs, non-fungible coins that essentially behave as digital receipts for things like digital art that's out there on the internet. It has been a controversial technology because of the unfortunate effects it's been having, as detailed by the gamer here, between their negative impact on the environment, widespread cases of art theft, claims of money laundering, and being a goldmine for scammers. NFTs are just bad news overall, and there's talk here of Peter Molyneux, who recently announced his game Legacy, which is basically a virtual business where real money is involved and you buy land as NFTs and you make stuff that you then sell as NFTs. I don't know. From Peter Molyneux, it does not sound like something I want to participate in. Ubisoft recently came out with Ubisoft Quartz with Ghost Recon Breakpoint debuting this Ubisoft-specific NFT, and Stephen Dutilla reported how one of the NFTs, for example, you need to play 600 plus hours of Ghost Recon, and there's just schemes upon schemes. And look, I'm open to any new technology that could potentially be used in cool ways, but so far, companies don't seem to know why NFTs are such a big deal for gaming. They're just saying that it is because they know investors are all about that gold rush for NFTs, but so far they've proven nothing about NFTs actually improves games, but rather paves the road and opens many more doors for monetization avenues for these companies, rather than actually in some meaningful way enhancing the gaming experience. Even Ubisoft developers don't understand the company's push for NFTs. It's just the executives, really. But the devs, the people actually making the game, are like, I don't know how this stuff's actually useful for our games. Ubisoft developers are worried about having to put NFTs in their games. Having to put NFTs being the key word there, just like microtransactions, when they're forced in a video game, that affects the integrity of a game, because suddenly the games are being designed around ensuring that on some level players are incentivized to purchase microtransactions, be it by introducing an unreasonable amount of grind that will lure players into the store to accelerate the process, or just stuff locked behind a paywall, cosmetics and whatnot. Not something you unlock with gameplay efforts, which was how it used to work and whatnot. Who knows how NFTs will be pushed little by little, inching towards a more egregious form of monetization. Now, today's video is going to focus more on Stalker. This is a niche but beloved series, with the sequel being helmed by GSC Games, I believe. And to be fair, the core game itself is looking pretty neat. I mean, it visually looks stunning, and it seems to have the atmosphere of a Stalker game and all the various elements that people loved about that series, only more modernized with, I mean, the engine here definitely is doing a lot of work, and people are hoping that this will be a nice resurgence for a series that's gone dormant for far too long. But this whole NFTs business, unfortunately, is marring the optics surrounding this title and the intention of the developers. This all began when on December 15th, 2021, we saw the creation of a new Twitter account called Stalker Metaverse that tweeted, "To all hunters, seekers, scavengers, to all stalkers, time to go deep into the zone." And then the official Stalker Twitter page retweeted this, detailing this metaverse and the NFTs that'll be involved. Stalker 2 is not a blockchain-based game, but it does have blockchain elements that they're gonna try to use to monetize and profit off of it. No influence on gameplay, completely optional. There will be free giveaways for the community members. All tokens will be activated before the release. And this is basically what companies have claimed about microtransactions. No influence on gameplay and completely optional. Except it tends to be that content is often compromised because they're stripped from a game so they can be sold back to you. And as far as the whole optional aspect goes, even if it's just, cosmetics and doesn't tangibly affect gameplay, cosmetics are still an important part of the gaming experience. People love to look badass in their games. And the whole optional thing, nobody wanted NFTs in the game. Like, the implementation of NFTs wasn't something that we chose. That's a choice you guys made for us. And then there are concerns surrounding how gameplay design could be negatively impacted by the mandate to ensure that the game design reflects the company's desire to sell NFTs. We have seen how game design has been negatively impacted by companies' desires to sell microtransactions and loot boxes. I have little doubt NFTs will just be an extra layer on top of that will cause further degradation of gameplay integrity in favor of incentivizing people to make these NFT purchases. These are just the same excuses we have heard time and again from companies, and it's just not something that they're gonna sell us on now. And when somebody tweeted at them, focus on the game and DLC and not this kind of BS, they insisted we're totally focused on the game. NFTs won't affect gameplay, and everyone who get the game can play and have the complete experience because all NFTs are fully optional. Ah, yes, there it is, the optional excuse. And even if they feel optional enough now, keep in mind that when companies see success for a monetization scheme, they'll push it further and further and further to squeeze players more, to nickel and dime players more. So who knows how NFT implementation will evolve to be more egregious the more we let this stuff slide. So it's also about sort of future-proofing, if you will, trying to stop this stuff now and call them out on it, especially given, again, that NFTs have not proven to be implemented in a useful and meaningful way in video games. It's all been about monetization. It's all been kind of harmful more than useful. And them pushing for this technology further and contributing to that is just not a good look and something that a lot of people just aren't in favor for. As can be noted by how the Stalker official Twitter post here got ratioed just 1.6 thousand likes versus 1.7 thousand comments. And same with this comment below right here, 137 likes versus 245 replies, which tends to suggest that there is a significant amount of pushback and criticism. As for what kind of NFTs they were initially intending to sell before the backlash forced them to back off on this, and I'll detail that in a bit. According to Twitter user Nibel, Welp, Stalker 2 will use NFTs for its Stalker metaverse, where you can become a metahuman inside the game. This is further detailed by news outlet The Verge, whose headline reads, Stalker 2 is getting NFTs, including one that lets you become an in-game metahuman, and all the details can be found down here. Stalker Metaverse has been announced, which will use blockchain technology to let the community own a piece of Stalker 2, quote unquote, own. You really only own a freaking receipt. Again, just the whole idea of owning digital art and I don't know, and turning them into investments essentially. It's just not something I'm in favor for. Like, I just want to be able to enjoy and experience art instead of worrying about investment aspects. I just want to be able to escape with video games instead of real world economics kind of seeping in and just ruining the escapism of fun. But yeah, for those who are chosen as non-player characters rendered in very high detail to become the first metahuman, players will be able to bid for an NFT offering that prize as part of an auction taking place in January 2022. Whoever owns the NFT to become an NPC in the game will be able to buy and sell it up until a specific claim date after the auction. I mean, this all just sounds so shady, a scheme that only a select few will truly benefit from, a pyramid scheme of sorts with words like auction being thrown around, this all feeling like basically you're learning how to invest and economics and all these things, when it should just, video games should just be about immersion and experience and just interactive fun. But it's like that's becoming less and less of a focus. Here's what the CEO of GSC Game World, the developer of Stalker 2, had to say. The idea of the related NFT is to give the right to recreate its owner's identity within the game through one of the NPCs. The person will need to come to our studio for a detailed scanning procedure, and after that, we will have everything to make this person appear in the game world as one of the characters. But yeah, basically anyone interested in this will be participating in an auction, and whoever bids the highest amount of money will get the opportunity to be scanned in the game. And I mean, who knows how much this stuff can go for? Who knows how pricey this stuff can get? It's hard to say because it's also speculative and volatile, and it's just a huge risk to partake in a trend that's still very new and nobody seems to be able to really figure out its usefulness, or don't seem to be willing to make this a useful technology, instead going for the exploitation route. And then beyond the whole meta-human thing, GSC Game World also planned to release other NFT options in addition to the meta-human one. But suffice to say that the backlash was significant, and the Stalker official Twitter page tried to double down with this statement released the following day on December 16th, 2021, following a day's worth of mass backlash. And just scrolling down, you can see that the response has been equally negative, with folks like Liana Rupert from Game Informer, or formerly from Game Informer, saying, as the kids say, this ain't it, Chief. Brian Altano from IGN, if you can't fund your game without scamming your audience into buying NFTs, you should probably scrap your game. So here's what the statement they provided reads like, where they insisted this was for a good cause. Dear Stalkers, we want to give you a detailed comment on yesterday's announcement of NFT bonuses for Stalker 2. GSC Game World is an independent game development studio. We have no publisher, but we do have wonderful partners, an incredible team, and a dream of a game that you will sincerely love. Just like all the other devs, we need two main resources: time and money. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl is truly the biggest and the most complex game we have ever created. All the funds that we earn during the development process, including the potential income from NFT, will be spent on improving the long-awaited game to make it even better. Why do we choose NFT? It's a new technology, and we are eager to do NFT right. Oh my god, do you know how many times developers have said, no, we're going to do microtransactions and loot boxes right? It's a monetization scheme, and if you don't trust that your game will sell well enough and instead resort to a scheme that has been near universally poorly received, at least among gaming enthusiasts, and insist on going on a shady route instead of, finding means that, the community will stand by, then it's on you for all the backlash and criticism and negative feedback you get. But yeah, they say that they're eager to do NFT right, give certain fans an opportunity to get into the game without interfering with other players' experience. I mean, you don't need NFT technology to do that, and to host a major auction that basically asks a handful of people for a huge chunk of money just so they can have their face and body scan into the game, all while exploiting a technology that's unproven and that many concerns revolve around. It just sounds super shady. That's why the tokens are entirely optional, and there's that word again that has little merit at this point, with how companies have claimed that time and again, only for that to be proven untrue. Entirely optional and have no impact on gameplay or story, no weapons, quests, locations, etc., and can be activated only before the game release. I mean, maybe for now it doesn't affect gameplay, but I'll say again, we've seen how microtransactions have evolved, how much they've kept pushing the boundaries. I don't trust game companies to not push the boundaries on NFTs and eventually try to implement gameplay affecting NFTs in some way, shape, or form. Who knows what they could come up with. Yesterday, we announced the first tokens, the faces of several NPCs that aren't even involved in the story, but some of you thought we would go a bit too far from here. That's why we want to be transparent and disclose our plans for the future NFTs. We're going to implement nicknames of the owners on some in-game desks, walls, etc. Please remember, it's a large open world we're talking about. Gloves, tattoo skins, badges for the multiplayer mode, releasing as a free update after the story campaign, and collectible cards. So essentially bits of cosmetic elements sold as NFTs alongside the faces of NPCs. D-Market works on a private blockchain system with bridges into other networks such as Polygon and Solana, with priority to provide low energy consumption and minimize CO2 emissions and other negative environmental impacts. In this statement, we are as honest with you as we can be. We are not asking for support, but at least we hope you can hear us and understand our reasons. Oh, we understand the reason you want to make a ton of money and try to normalize this trend so you can make more money, but there is a way to make money that is reasonable, and then there is whatever the hell this route is, you just kind of getting on a bandwagon just because of the hype without considering the numerous ways that NFTs currently, as they're presently implemented, have had a negative impact. And the way you're implementing NFTs is really no different than how other companies are trying to do it. And the normalization of this is just not a trend that people like, because people don't trust companies to use technologies in productive and positively impactful ways, but rather to try to find ways to exploit customers with it. And this is the route where so far NFTs have headed with gaming, which is why the backlash surrounding all of this has been so severe. One of the top posts on the official Stalker subreddit is this one right here: response to the Stalker metaverse, over 96% upvote ratio, over 5,000 upvotes. And going into this message, you can see the sentiments that are being expressed. I believe I can speak for all fans of Stalker when I say that this is not what we want. This is deceptive, shady, and not what the Stalker community needs. The implementation of these NFTs is clearly an attempt attempt to use a loophole in Steam's anti-blockchain policy in order to sell the game on the marketplace while still reaping the rewards of trading NFTs. This is also a shameless attempt to enrich the executives of GSC who own currently undisclosed investments in blockchain assets. The official Stalker Metaverse Twitter has been purposely vague on the subject of NFT mod integration, talking about how NFTs will incentivize modders without explaining what that means for consumers. And vagueness surrounding how NFT is actually good for us, the players and the consumers, has always been vague because so far the companies have no real good excuse except, well, we stand to benefit from this. Oh crap, I guess we gotta think of some excuse for players to find a way to make them think it's beneficial to them. They've been throwing all these buzzwords at us, but no actual explanation as to what's in it for us. Plus, modders have done fine for over a decade now. This is addressing a non-existent problem, and so far, all of the implementations of NFTs we've seen so far with video games is possible without using NFT technology. GSC, we do not want this. I speak on behalf of the entire community when I tell you to cancel the NFT auctions and stop the Stalker Metaverse initiative immediately. Whatever money you gain in NFT profits will be offset by lost sales due to this mistake. It is not worth it. Make the right choice and don't wish to be rich. It will not end well. Sincerely, a concerned fan. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely confident that if they stuck with this, the profits from NFTs would be offset by lost sales due to this mistake, because at the end of the day, we have seen the masses, the people who are not enthusiasts who are looking at news every day, buy into games with microtransactions, loot boxes that have been heavily criticized. And with NFTs, I mean, who knows? Maybe they would have stood to make tons and tons of money, and maybe this would have been an inevitable path given how many companies are pushing for this technology, but it's still good to at least express now that this stuff is generally not something that will generate good PR, make it enough of a potential PR liability that companies will think twice before implementing these en masse. People on this subreddit are also not buying the whole optional BS, that buzzword that they keep throwing around that never ultimately lives up to the definition of the word. And beyond NFTs, people have had other issues with how Stalker 2 is monetizing. So this Reddit user posted the following meme: you pirate Stalker 2 because they're selling NFTs. I pirate Stalker 2 because they have microtransactions and cut content pre-order bonuses. So there are other schemes already that they've implemented, and now they want to layer NFTs on top of that. People poking fun at how when they find the NPC who's been scanning the game through NFTs in 0.0001 seconds, this is what's going to happen. People began to express that they'd much rather invest in modders at this point than buying Stalker 2 if this is how this company is going to start to be, degrading the goodwill that they've been building up until now. And the backlash eventually got bad enough that Indeed, on December 16th, 2021, after deleting this tweet that featured this message doubling down on their NFT stands. This is just a screenshot that I captured before this tweet was deleted. After that deletion, the Stalker official Twitter page published this: "Dear Stalkers, we hear you. Based on the feedback we received, we have made a decision to cancel anything NFT related in Stalker 2. The interests of our fans and players are the top priority for the team. We're making this game for you to enjoy, whatever the cost. If you care, we care too. With love, GSC Game World Team." And you can see the amount of support that this tweet got, with over 100,000, almost 120,000 likes, 13.1 thousand retweets, and over 6,000 quote tweets. This is the right decision. I'm not going to pat them on the back and be like, great job, because they should have known better, especially after the first wave of backlash before they doubled down. But this is the right move. Now we got more positive sentiment. Let the game sell all those copies, make your money back that way, and you can still thrive off of that business model. They're just trying to chew on more and get more money along the way, but you know, you got to find a good balance of consumer goodwill and business schemes. And NFTs, that's just a thin ice to walk on. It sucks that it took this much backlash, that they didn't consult with the community and kind of have a conversation before deciding on implementing this stuff. But at the very least, at the end of it all, they made the right decision. And the fact that there is this kind of pushback, and the fact that we have seen that through feedback, it is possible to reverse these companies' decisions, that might potentially make other companies who are trying to exploit NFTs and nickel and dime players that way think twice, knowing the potential shitstorm that may come their way. But in certain communities like Reddit, it is brought up that, sure, we got rid of one potentially nefarious business scheme, the NFTs, but there's still other stuff that people aren't happy about, like how this post highlighted the absolute state of this sub right now with almost 900 upvotes and 97% upvote ratio. Here we have a message saying, we did it, Stalker subreddit, we saved Stalker 2, we got rid of the NFTs. Meanwhile, you still got things like season pass and premium skins, missions, whole campaigns, campfire songs, and stories locked behind a pre-order paywall, so on and so forth. It's like that stuff's already generating a good amount of conversation and discussion and discourse and, you know, criticism. And what you want to layer on top of that is NFTs, one of the most distrustful of technologies currently in their implementation and in the monetization schemes that companies have come up with in a landscape when this company needs to prove itself with the release of Stalker 2 and build community goodwill. Especially if you're an indie developer, the last thing you want to do is lose the loyalty of your existing community. And, you know, I think they were on a road to do just that if they hadn't reversed this situation as fast as they did. And the hope now is that this won't just be a temporary thing and that they'll try to sneak NFTs in down the line, but rather that they understand people just don't want this in Stalker, period, and they should focus on what makes this game so special and let that carry the game's sales and its success, because there's a lot of potential for success here. I mean, you look at the incredibly positive reception of the developer highlight from E3 2021 from this footage right here, and you can see people are excited, you know, and this is something that no doubt is going to get a lot of coverage. And Stalker is something that I played in my younger days, and I'm excited for a sequel. It's like, you got something here. Don't squander it with greed. Just let the merits of this game carry you. And, you know, if you need financial support from the community, find ways to do so where you're communicating with them and, you know, you can find a solution that works for both of you where everyone can win, where it doesn't feel so exploitative and misguided and naive and greedy. So we'll see what happens from here on out. But for now, you know, I want to say disaster averted. No NFTs coming to Stalker 2, thanks to the backlash and the criticism. And I'm glad that voices were heard and that voices were vocal. But we'll see how this game turns out. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on how the Stalker developers handle this whole situation, up to even including the cancellation of NFTs after all that backlash, and what you think about just the game itself. Are you excited to check this game out? Or are you in wait and see mode? Or are you just, is this not up your alley? Or has their attempt to implement NFTs turned you off? Share all your thoughts in the comments below. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.